I made a video talking about this. I criticized Def Noodles for virtue signaling over Carson. It's been very frustrating because Glendon Cameron's a genuinely bad guy. We've covered him a lot on this channel. And Repzilla reached out to me and he's like, oh, can you give me like some resources on this guy? So I sent them, I told him to look at my channel, but I also sent him the re-uploads of Glendon Cameron's original video. So he actually made a video. Good for him. The only person I've seen so far do it. So that's something. But, let's give it a watch.
Hey, welcome back into today's video. We're going to be talking about a financial guru named Glendon.
A financial guru? Oh my goodness.
Cameron. Now, this situation is very strange as he came out with a couple of videos where he admitted to receiving inappropriate pictures from a 15-year-old, having relations with a 17-year-old, as well as a truffle with a mother and two underage daughters.
Yeah, he engaged in the sexual assault of a 16 and 17-year-old girl.
This is a very strange situation where he says...
Yeah, Albin Preach talked about it. Sorry, I keep forgetting. You're right.
That, well, it was an embellished story, but admits that some things were true. Let's talk about it if you're unfamiliar. Glendon Cameron...
I've been watching everything from Glendon Cameron. He said that as like a way to walk off it. Like he was like, it was a social experiment. He keeps saying that, but in that conversation with the lead attorney, I think that's who it was, and Anton Daniels, he wouldn't even tell people what age he felt was a reasonable age. Like he didn't tell people a cutoff age. He's like, as long as they look old enough, that's all he said. He's like, some young girls, they mature faster.
Cameron has a YouTube channel called the Institute of Economic Thought with over 131,000 subscribers. He does commentary on rich black people and how they got it, the broader economy, and various things of that nature. He has several channels such as The House of Pain and Disruptive Mel, which I'm told is a bit controversial.
What's going on, guys? It's been a crazy week.
He also went on the lead attorney's channel and faced off against another creator named Anton Daniels.
True.
So it's important before we start into this video that you understand exactly how this guy was finding girls, and to understand that this was 20 years ago, so I believe around the time he was about 32 years old. He was buying ads on Craigslist in a sexual nature where he would advertise for BDSM and just generally kink type material. And he said this gave him a lot of girls, 10 to 15.
Yeah, he said 10 to 15 girls every day for like 10 years. That's what he had said. And he said they weren't all underage, but I wouldn't pass them up. And I'd make sure that the underage ones, I'd make sure they came from bad family lives so the parents wouldn't report me. These are things he's like legitimately said. It's incredible.
Per week, I think. He might have said day, 7 days a week. It was quite a bit. This is how he would run his ads.
I used to do something called Craigslist protocols, and I'll explain all that. I used to have a business called the Upscale Garage Sale. And I used to use Craigslist for advertising. And I noticed I would have NBA players. I had really hot chicks coming in from my Craigslist ads. And at the time, Craigslist had a section called a dating section. And I started writing content for these ads.
It was mostly like a prostitution section. That's where you would go. You would solicit prostitution on that section. That's why they removed it. And
in the beginning, it was horrible because I wasn't getting any results. But I stuck with it and I stuck with it and I stuck with it. And I kind of tapped into something. And I would get response.
I'll be right back, Lee. I'm sorry.
Thanks for the subs, guys. I'm going to acknowledge them after the segment.
I would get responses from high school girls every day. And this is the thing. And this is what's funny. 99.9% of them I ignored because, the average high school girl looks like a high school girl. A lot of them are not developed. A lot of them don't look like women. So I had no interest in them.
Let me just jump in right quick. What was the text of these?
So just acknowledge, like that's establishing, like he doesn't matter how old these girls are as long as they look developed. But it's not about the physical development or how physically developed somebody is. It's about the mental capacity of people, which is why it's incredibly inappropriate.
Of these ads, what did they say?
This is when, if you know, because you said I'm into some wild shit, and this is with the BDSM. Mm-hmm. And I kind of toyed around with the content marketing, and what I found was long form ads worked really well. And it was just talking about what I would do, what was on the table, the activities. I'm not going to get explicit on your show, but I spelled out in detail what I would do and what I would not do. And a lot of women started responding. Like,
So the interesting thing is, I was watching this video, there was a comment that popped up, and I want to read that real quick. It said, question, is there an explicit age restriction that you placed on your ads after the first encounter of an under 18-year-old girl? And I think that's
And also, again, in this interview, Anton asks him, "What's your age? What would be your age cutoff?" And he wouldn't answer. He just kept saying that, "Oh, it's as long as they look old enough." That's all he keeps saying.
a really, really valid question to be asking in this situation, because when you do these ads, you do have target ages. So this is not a question to shy away from in this situation, because essentially it sounds to me like he was placing business ads and then obtained a good bit of knowledge about business ads, and at least enough to make him a millionaire, and then turned around and then used it for his own pleasures, which I don't think that sounds not good. So this 30-some...
Listen, I don't give a fuck if it's illegal or not to. So you can go fuck a prostitute all you want. I really don't give a shit. But like, not underage girls.
10-year-old man back then was doing this. He was putting these ads out here, which was catching high school girls, to which we know of what he has admitted to, which he received pictures from a 15-year-old, and then he had relations with a 17-year-old.
Yeah, he mentioned one instance where he used it as a generality. He was talking about how, like, oh, there were times where like a girl at 15 would send me pictures, and the way he said it to me suggested that he would like engage with the girl. He would look at the pictures, but he wouldn't have sex with them, which is disgusting. Like, oh yeah, I know. I'll just jerk off to your pictures, your inappropriate pictures, but I would never sleep with you because that would be just terrible, you know.
That we know of. And he said that it was these girls' fault for seeking it out.
You know.
remember when I started this video and I told you I had all these high school girls answering my Craigslist ads? Did I have a gun to their head? Did I ask them to reply to my ads? They were searching this out.
Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of people don't want to talk about that, but yes, young girls especially tend to look for older guys. It's not a hot take. But like, check this out. Let's say you have a 15-year-old girl and like a 35-year-old man, right? Who's the responsible party? Is it the 15-year-old girl or is it the 35-year-old man? Oh, it's the 35-year-old man. So willingness doesn't equal consent. Just because a 15-year-old is willing to engage with a 35-year-old doesn't make it appropriate. And like, it's disgusting because like, what kind of a guy would even... What's even attractive about that? I just don't understand. Like, what's so sexy about a 15-year-old? What is it? Is it that they're super easy to manipulate? Is it this like disgusting concept of purity? Because if this is where the concept of virginity is rooted in, is like fucking young girls that are innocent, that's disgusting. That would make the concept of virginity pedophilic. Like, this shit's fucking disgusting, bro.
So this is why I have a problem with the predator label, because they were willing participants in.
By the way, this is within the context of him defending R. Kelly. This is before he got any criticism. This is the original video, this one that we're referencing, where the criticism comes from. He's referencing R. Kelly, saying that he has a problem with the predator label for R. Kelly because the girls wanted him to pee on their face and whatnot. This is in defense of. It's fucking insane.
The dynamic.
Around 5 months ago, Glendon Cameron posted 2 now deleted videos. I'm going to post the 2 re-uploads in the pinned comments so you guys can check this out, but be warned, he goes into very graphic detail on some things, and
True.
Let's point out some of the main things that we're going to be talking about in this video that he said.
I could have been a predator.
Well, you are a predator. So.
I think you can see why
I could have been a predator. Well, you are one. Wow, you know. It's just fucking crazy, bro.
wanted to cover this. We're already not off to a good start, and he even stands up for R. Kelly, saying that R. Kelly didn't hold a gun to those girls' head. It's very strange comments.
And this is where R. Kelly went wrong. R. Kelly was a good-looking man. R. Kelly had fame. R. Kelly was rich, and he was reckless.
So Glendon Cameron goes into detail on.
He's reckless, guys. It's okay that he he took advantage of children, but that's okay. But he got caught. That's the problem. Just the way he talks about these things, like how if somebody, there's no way that you could ever have this perspective on anything unless you thought it was okay.
How basically R. Kelly's awesome and that he messed up and that's why he got caught. And then he goes into detail on why he hasn't been caught and then proceeds to teach other people how not to get caught.
Explain this appetite to you guys who don't have this appetite, because the normal man doesn't have this appetite.
Appetite. And yes, the normal man isn't a pedophile. Thank you so much.
Or
a hebephile, if you'd like. Let's just say predator. Normal men aren't predators. You know.
There is something special about fucking a young girl who's doesn't have a lot of miles on her. She doesn't have a lot of experience.
So when I first watched this video,
check it out. You could find 18-year-olds that do that, that have that.
there were a multitude of red flags, but one of the things that stood out to me was that he was so brazen and bold about the statements that he was making. It stood out to me very narcissistic, and if you don't know the definition of that, it's a mental condition where people have an inflated sense of their own importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, troubled relationships, and a lack of empathy for others.
Sounds like every famous TikToker.
You might be asking yourself, why isn't this dude in jail? And to that, I have to say, I don't really know, but
just nobody cares, really. I mean, I don't know if he, like, I guess there's a statute of limitation. I don't know if that would apply to this type of shit, but the only evidence is that he literally admitted it, and all he would really have to say from a legal perspective is, "I was just making it up for content." You know what I mean? Like, it's never going to happen. But at the very least, he shouldn't be able to have a platform on YouTube. Like, it's the only thing that we could really do. You know, if he's willing to he's used the internet before. I know it's Craigslist, but to seek out women and take advantage of them, what's to say he wouldn't do that on with a YouTube following or an Instagram following? That's a problem that I have. Like, you shouldn't be able to have platforms to predatorize more. You shouldn't give them more of an ability to predatorize people.
he did say a large majority of this video was embellished for effect, as it was an experiment.
Yeah, that was a lie. He's full of shit.
I don't know if I buy it.
YouTube is really, really crazy. You can put out a video and you can
just keep in mind, he's wearing sunglasses for a reason. Like, he's doing it for a reason. He's wearing his sunglasses for a reason. It's honestly, I think it's just because he's a fucking disingenuous prick, and I don't think that he can show his face right now. I think he's just so like fucking. I think that he's like a coward.
can have an assumption
Because he's getting called out by mostly him. The lead attorney, when I originally watched this video, I gave him a lot of shit for this. Because it was really frustrating. Because the lead attorney gives him like a lot of benefit of the doubt and concessions. But I think it was from like a lawyer's perspective of like, okay, I'm going to try to be your friend so that I can get more information out of you.
how it's going to perform. But until you put that video out, you don't know how it's going to perform. And like I said, I've had people do 4-hour live streams about me, talking about me. And I was like, I'm going to try something a little risque. I'm going to put it out there and I'm going to see. And the first few days, it really was nothing.
Bro, he has continuously talked about this in a defensive position. This is such a it's just a bullshit lie. It's just it's an excuse for his disgusting behavior. He's just trying to deflect some of the heat off of him.
Nothing. I said, okay, this is going to die. And then it started. Anton did his video, and then a whole bunch of other people did their videos. And the video is not going to go viral. It's not going to happen. And so I would consider it.
I want to pause right there for a second. So as he's explaining how his videos, and we're going to get more into detail on these videos, how they didn't go viral, it seems like he's super focused on the views, the subscribers, the money, rather than the bigger issue at hand, which would be the receiving underage pictures, having relations.
Yeah, man, the reality is he just doesn't give a fuck. I mean, he just doesn't care. He thinks that it's acceptable. The way that he talks about in the future is he talks about like whatever community he happens to be in, just doesn't really give a shit. It's like a normal thing. Nobody really gives a fuck. It's disgusting, bro. He doesn't care, and the people I guess that he lives around also don't give a shit about this fucking thing. It's incredible. This is like more normalized than it should be. It's fucking disgusting.
With an underage girl, etc.
A static experiment. It's not like super successful because honestly, I thought there was going to be more blowback. I thought there was going to be more anger. I thought there was going to be more people with pitchforks coming after me. And actually, I feel that this is pretty much going to die out by next Friday.
So this dude fully believes with his whole chest that he can come out and admit to breaking the law, and it's fine. So going back to the video, I want to show you specifically the laws that he said with the words of his own mouth that he broke.
I remember this one girl who answered my ad, and she was 15 years old. 15 years old. We were talking and stuff. And I knew I was never going to meet this chick. I was just talk to her, and she sent me dirty pictures. She was running 100 miles an hour.
So yeah, that to me sounds like, yeah, I was talking to her and she sent me a bunch of nudes, and but I was never going to meet her, but I would still talk to her. And I'm going to tell you right now, I guarantee you that the reason that he wasn't going to meet her wasn't because she was 15. It was because she probably didn't come from a broken family. He specifically said to make sure they come from a broken family so the parents don't call the cops on you. That's why. It has nothing to do with the age. He just didn't feel like it would be safe enough to go and have sex with him. So he would go and he would get, oh yeah, I'll get pictures of you. I'm 30 something years old. I'll get pictures from you at 15. That's totally fine. But you give a good family life, so I don't think I'll be engaging with you. That, I guarantee you that's what it is.
In that direction. And I'm quite sure that she hooked up with some older men. You hear girls who are 15, 16, 17-year-old hooking up with 30, 40-year-old men.
Yeah, those men are disgusting.
You know how common that is?
So keep in mind that he said he...
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It shouldn't be. Something being common doesn't mean that behavior should be a thing. A lot of things used to be common. Not to bring it to all this shit, but like slavery used to be common. Or was that a justifier for it? Like beating gay people used to be common. Is that a justifier for that? Like where does it end? Just because something is normal to people doesn't mean that it's an acceptable behavior.
He embellished the story of his videos, but when he was pressed about this specific thing on the lead attorney's channel, he said it was true.
I think we can all agree that's a crime. In Georgia, guys, that's actually a
Well,
crime.
I actually never met her. I never chatted. I mean, we talked because I didn't know she was 15 until a little later, and that was one of the issues.
The problem here is...
Well, why do you have a pattern of... first of all, I don't believe that. I think it's a lie. I think that he says that just to try to push punishment off himself. Second of all, it doesn't matter if you know the age of somebody or not. It's still illegal. Third of all, why do you seem to have... You said that every day you talk to a high school girl. You said every day at least one would message me. So why didn't you have a vetting process to figure out their ages? Because it doesn't matter to you, okay? You're not 20 years old. You're not 22. If you were like 22 and it's like, oh, I talked to this girl. I didn't know she was 16. Like, okay, I'll give you a pass for that. You're fucking 30-something years old. You don't get a pass for that. You don't get a pass at 30-something years old. Like, you know better at that point. You fucking know better.
He wasn't doing his due diligence. See, he was throwing out ads and these girls were coming in. He was doing research after the fact. You'll hear him talk about this. But it's his responsibility. He was supposed to check ages and look into it and, verify that these girls were of age before he did and had relations with them. So that's really important to point out.
So
let me just jump in. What I'm telling you is, if you're talking and getting nudes from a 15-year-old, that is a crime in Georgia. That's the sexual exploitation of children.
Yes,
and
it is.
It's a felony grade crime, and it goes...
I like how he said, yes, it is. Because you know that this stupid fuck didn't know that. This is like a common thing from really stupid people when they're told a fact. They're like, yep, I knew that. I knew. Yep, I know. I'm a doctor too. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you talking about? That's all that is. I've dealt with people like that before, where they're dumb as fuck, and you'll be like, "Hey, did you know that like you can't do this?" Oh, yep, I did. I was just just having a day, just doing my thing. It's like, oh well, you're not allowed to do that. Oh well, it's what I know that already. You know what I mean? That's the energy. That's what he's doing right here. He doesn't know shit. He's fucking stupid.
Goes from 5 to 20, right? 5 years to 20 years.
And once I found out she was 15, I stopped talking to her and I deleted the pictures.
Gotcha. All right. But still, even if you don't know.
I know. A lot of men have gotten caught up because they were talking to a girl. They didn't know how old she was. And the law don't care.
The interesting thing about this part was when...
Now he's a victim in that scenario, just so you know. That's what he's saying.
He's talking about the situation. The lead lawyer here, attorney, says that, wait a second, in your second video, you actually said that this was a 16-year-old and that you lowered the ages to make it seem more controversial. But then he says, well, no, this was actually really a 15-year-old girl.
That doesn't matter. You're 15 now. I can't keep talking to you. And
wait. Now I'm confused, because you're saying, well, when you found out she was 15, then you deleted the pictures and you stopped talking to her. But you said in the second video that she actually wasn't 15. You said that she was 16 and you just lowered the number to make it more polarizing.
Well, I lowered the numbers of the girls and her mother.
He's so fucking dumb. That's a different person.
And not that one, because there was many girls.
So the girl and the mother that he's referring to, these are two girls, a 16, 17-year-old girl. He said he met this mother, 45 years old, on, I guess, Craigslist. And she liked black bulls, right? She had black guys, big dicks. That's totally fine. And he went to her house and had sex with her in front of the kids. And then they forced the kids to like suck his dick. Like, that's sexual assault. I don't know what to tell you. It doesn't matter how old those children. First of all, I guarantee they're 16, 17. Second of all, it doesn't matter how old they are. He literally says that they forced that interaction. It doesn't matter how old you are. So you're just a fucking moron.
So not that one in particular, but this happened all of the time. I would be talking to a girl and I would find out how old she was. And
this is not good stuff. This dude is absolutely admitting to a crime. and says that there was a lot. And there's parts in this video where he actually contradicts himself later on. I was paying attention. I was taking notes. I watched this all where he completely contradicts himself at this point.
One of the things is I was having these experiences, and it wasn't like that many. It wasn't like 20, 30. It wasn't that many.
So there he says it wasn't like 20 or 30. I want to go back to the beginning of this where he says there was like...
But I spelled out in detail what I would do and what I would not do. And a lot of women started responding, like 10, 15 a day. 7 days a week.
So he says 10 to 15, 7 days a week. He said that not all of these were young.
It's interesting. It's like it's probably an exaggeration, the number of people that reached out and responded. And one of the things is like this guy did some so much fucked up shit. The people that watch my videos, some of them be like, "This can't be true. It's so terrible." And I'm sure that there are lies in there scattered in some capacity. I think that the number of women interested in him, things of that nature. But I don't really think that the individual accusations are exaggerated in any capacity. He's constantly saying things that reinforce the idea that he's a predator. Like the idea that like the age doesn't really matter. It's just what they look like. He praised so bizarrely in one video Viking culture. He praised the rape culture in Viking culture where men could take whatever they want from women and children. He said the words women and children. This guy constantly talks about it. So the embellishment might be in the number of people that would respond to him and whatnot. Or the embellishment probably comes from the fact that he most likely paid all these girls and he just lied about paying them. It's a very common thing for rich, like otherwise undesirable, disgusting, pathetic men to pay for sex because nobody wants to fuck them. So yeah. That's where the embellishment would come from.
Girls, but then in other parts where he said there was a lot of teenagers, so it's just very back and forth contradicting situation.
They would strictly just show up in my place and have sex. And this went on for about 10 years. I start tamping it down. Let's say 15 years, but 10 years hard. And then 15 years, I kind of backed away from a lot of that stuff.
Wow, only 25 years? Crazy. Such a good guy.
Then this one girl.
This is the one that starts off with it. It's like frustrating. And when I remember watching this, I was like, "Yo, that's gross." But this wasn't the worst of it all. It was still pretty bad. He starts off talking about how like he was talking to a girl. He thought she was 18, and then he had sex with her a bunch of times, and then he found out she was 17. And I was like, "Okay, well, that's not good, but at least he stopped." And then he's like, "Yeah, no, I just fucked her another 15 times." It's like, okay, you're obviously disgusting and have fucking issues. But this isn't even the worst of it at all. The other shit's far worse.
She answered that when we started to talk. And she was an exceptionally mature 17-year-old. Let me say this again. This chick.
I've never heard that before. Oh, you're so mature for your age. Young girls are dumb. Young boys are dumb too. But right now we're talking about young girls. Young girls are stupid. When you tell a young girl that they're mature for their age, they think that they're special. That's all it takes. That's literally all it takes. An older man saying, "Oh, you're so mature for your age." That's just, oh my God. Oh my God, it must be true. I'm gonna fuck you. It really is very simple. It's a very common talking point when people try to predatorize children. It's different if your grandmother says it. "Oh, you're so mature for your age," because you would generally compliment like young people by saying they're mature for their age. My mom said it when I was younger. She lied to me. I was an immature asshole. But like people might say it to be like, "Oh, you're very mature for your age," in a complimentary way. So predators like Glendon Cameron use that as a way to get people to have sex with them.
Chick was 17. Her conversation was different. She actually was a hairdresser, and she answered my ad, and I fucked her. And oh my God, she had these amazingly firm double D titties. That should have been my clue.
So I want to point out that this dude fully believes that he's
What should have been your clue? I don't understand.
not expressing
That she had perky boobs.
predatory behavior. But then he goes into explain how this dude fully believes that he's not expressing a predatory behavior. But then he goes into explain how he would do full-on research to check out if these girls were of age or not. He even goes into detail how you should not talk to girls who, if you see pictures of them and their family, like if their mother and father are close to them, then you should not have anything to do with these girls in specific because you will get in trouble.
Yeah. Yep.
I would do social media search on all my chicks just out of curiosity. So I'm like doing my social media search and I find her Facebook page and I see her with her high school friends. And I'm like, oh shit. So I call her up and I ask her because, she told me she was 21. That's what she told me. And I was like, serious question. And at this time, I had this chick 10, 15 times. She was my prototype, even though she was extremely young. And you know what I kept doing?
Well, no, that is your prototype, I guess. I don't know what I know what you're saying, but you don't know what the word prototype means. But this is like your type. This is the kind of like children, you know.
I kept fucking her. Because I was like, at this point, I had fucked her 15 times. And it was just like, the crime was done.
And just to be clear, he said on the lead attorney that this story was true.
Like, you admitted to sleeping with the 17-year-old and all of this other type of stuff. I'm assuming that you've slept with more than just that one 17-year-old, right?
For sure.
No, it is not the tip of the iceberg.
What a great way to answer that question. Hey, so you slept with a 17-year-old. I'm assuming you've done that regularly. Well, you know, that's not the tip of the iceberg. Okay, great response.
No, it is not the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, that is the tip of the iceberg. That's the only thing we're seeing. I guarantee you that there's more shit going on to this disgusting fucking person. Because think about this. He admitted it. He said that he did these things. He said that he was proud of this, okay? We all have shit that we're not proud of, okay? You know, all of us, we do things that we probably shouldn't do. Some, you know, maybe you wake up in the morning and you have a whole fucking pizza pie. You're ashamed of that. So you hide that from people. But if you're willing to admit that, what else are you doing? If you're joking about eating a whole pizza, the fuck else are you doing? You know what I mean? He's joking. He thinks he's bragging about having sex with children. You think that you don't think that his capacity, you don't think that he's done much worse? Come on.
Typically, those were, I would say, exceptions, because most of the high school girls were young and immature and they had no appeal to me. So, like I said, the majority of the women that I had these escapades with were between 28 and 32.
Yeah, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that that was the only high school girl that you ever slept with, though, Glendon. I mean, if we're going to keep it 100, then keep it 100.
We can keep it 100.
We're here now.
Actually, I think that is.
Actually, he thinks it is. He's like,
Except for the other 16, 17-year-old girl that he sexually assaulted. Don't forget about that one.
I can't remember. Oh, this dude specifically said that he was attracted to young girls and that he only went with the females that he knew he could.
Yeah, he said that the young girls were his prototype. So if young girls are your, if that's what you gravitate towards, you really expect me to believe that you're fucking with 28, 32-year-old girls? I honestly doubt that. I doubt that in general. I guarantee. Well, I would put money on him just constantly trying to engage with young people.
He could get away with.
I have somewhat of an appetite, but
By the way, it would be like archetype would be the word you would use. That would be like your archetype, not your prototype. But, yeah.
I have limits. There's just certain things I'm not going to do. There's just certain
men. Like, what is it?
Boundaries I'm not going to cross. And essentially, I conducted my fuckery in the safe zone. I did stuff I knew I could get away with. I did not go out. Like, there was this one girl, and she was super cute. And then I did my research on her and saw her pictures of her with her mom and dad, which means her parents were very much involved in her life. And that right there.
This is an underage girl he must be referring to. He doesn't give the age, but that's an underage girl. He's talking about another underage girl right here.
Would have been the danger zone, because this is how it happens. She comes over, we fuck. She goes home. Her mom and dad press her. He's like, I fucked this old man. And next thing you know, mom and dad call the police.
If you're lucky, Glendon. Because if it was my daughter, I think you'd be the one calling the police.
Wow, that's...
Yeah, so that's him admitting that he talks. If you have a specific strategy on how to get away with sexually assaulting minors, there's a safe bet you consistently engage in that behavior. Not a hot take, guys.
That's something else there.
Once again, I feel that R. Kelly pissed someone off, because if R. Kelly was just Robert,
if he was just raping kids, not a big deal. But he must have really upset somebody. You know, good. What a great point, Glendon. Thank you so much.
The truck driver, it never. Even if he did all of these things, he would have never went to jail. Never would have happened, because he was.
I absolutely disagree with this. I'm pretty sure that anybody that exhibits this type of predatory behavior and is getting these types of pictures and is sleeping with 17-year-olds, I don't care if they're Robert the Trash Man, they're going to get in trouble for that. This is a very common thing that happens. So another disgusting story that he talks about is that he hooked up with a mother and her 16 and 17-year-old daughters, which he later said that he embellished and lowered the age for effect, which I don't know why you would do that.
I just don't believe him. He's just fucking full of shit.
And they were actually 19 and 20. Let's hear what he had to say.
Doesn't really matter because he still talked about forcing them to do stuff, but I just don't believe him. There's no credibility from this person.
And she says, I have 2 daughters and I want to properly train them. I want you, you know, in the future, we may actually breed them. So she sends me photos of her daughters who are 16 and 17.
Yeah.
And they're pretty frisky looking. So I play along. So I go to her house and the mom was hot. And I
have
have
to pause right here. This dude sounds like EDP. I'm not going to play more of that because it gets
I don't think. Listen, it's always an interesting road to go down when we compare demons. But like, nah, Glendon is worse than EDP. Honestly, truthfully, the way I know that is because he's actually fucked them before. It's a pretty big telltale sign. So
graphic where he says that he takes the youngest daughter's virginity.
Yeah.
And talks about how he was too big for her and hurt her. And it's just, oh man.
Everyone reaches an age where they understand what they're doing. And some people reach that age earlier. Some of these kids know exactly what they're doing. They're smoking, they're having sex.
But you just said it, Glenn. You said they're kids. Why would you, as a grown man, be interested in somebody whose brain isn't scientifically, and you know this for a fact, proven to be even developed until their 20s? Why would you take advantage of that as a man that not only is a grown man, you have power, you got resources, you got cars, you got all of this stuff that you know are enticing to children? You call them kids out of your own mouth. Why would you even consider that, bro? Why would you consider talking to a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old? Why would you be having conversations with somebody that looks like they're 15 years old?
Big W for Anton, bro.
First of all, now there was some of them who looked like they were 15, 10 years old. I didn't even talk to them. Ooh. A lot of
they looked like they were 15 or 10. So how old were they then if they looked like they were 10? Is that a self-report?
These girls did not look their age. They didn't look their age. And like when I sent the lead attorney, this came from a 16-year-old girl who looked like she was 20. All kids don't look the same. There are some kids who look like kids.
Bro, you're calling them kids. How much more do we need to say? You're calling them kids. You're referring to them as kids. You're like, yeah, some of these kids are sexy. They're fucking children, bro. How? I just don't understand. I don't get it. Yeah, some of these kids are sexy. It's like, holy fuck.
They're 15. They're girls who are undeveloped.
But you're still describing them as kids, Glendon.
Essentially, he's treaded on the line of legality. He said that his first 2 videos were embellished for effect as an experiment to see the reaction. He'll say that he'll find out the results in 6 months, but then admits that if he had it over to do again, that he wouldn't do it because he doesn't like the results. So it's either, well, which one is it? Are you waiting 6 months to see the results, or do you have your results and you regret doing it? He changes the story so much, we don't know what's true.
He's a bullshit artist. He fucks kids. Like, that's pretty much it. And he brags about it. He thinks it's funny. He thinks it's interesting. He thinks it makes him a cool guy.
But this stuff needs to be looked into. This dude is exhibiting some very adverse behaviors, and it makes me sick to my stomach.
I've done crazier stuff than this. Not with little girls, but just business and videos and content.
Are you telling me the 17-year-old is the only high school girl you've ever slept with in your entire life? As an adult?
There's just no way, because he has a playbook for it.
Yes.
Bro, he has a whole fucking playbook about how to do it the right way. Maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe, even though he literally admitted to doing it with another 17-year-old. Maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe that's a little too old for him, probably. I think that he likes 14, 13 years old girls. Because he won't give us an age where he finds it reasonable, as long as they look old enough. So, like, I'm sure there are 13-year-olds that look like they might be like 18. There are 13-year-olds that look very mature. It doesn't mean that they're mentally mature. That means nothing. But so that means he would fuck a 13-year-old girl that looked old enough. That's it. That's all it takes for him.
Keep in mind his defenses on these situations are things like this.
I never forced anyone to do anything. I never took any advantage. I never lied to
you. Definitely took advantage. Force is very different from taking advantage of somebody. You could absolutely take advantage of people without forcing them to do anything. Are you kidding?
anyone. So yeah, my conscience is clear. I never forced myself on anyone, and I gave them options to leave, and
Even though he admits to forcing himself on 16 and 17-year-old girls in this, like before with the mother.
they didn't leave. So no,
Glendon,
I don't-
you literally
Hold on,
said,
wait, hold on.
Jesus
Now let's
Christ,
talk about this.
Lee.
Let's talk about the second. The
Lee,
second.
I need a break, bro. Honestly, I need a break, bro.
Let's talk about the second.
The fucking I gotta give the lead attorney some credit, because like Anton keeps checking out and I totally understand why, but you really can't check out of this conversation. The lead attorney, like he's pumping on. I wonder if he's just so desensitized that he's like, he's got it, because he's a lawyer. I mean, dude, bro, the lawyer shit is insane. You know what I mean? Like it's not, I can't imagine, you have to be a certain type of somebody. You have to be very desensitized is what I'm trying to say, to be a fucking lawyer. So, you know.
Second,
I would argue that in some of these situations with these young girls, 15, 16, 17 years old, you are taking advantage of them because the mind isn't developed and like, oh man.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the mind's not developed like 18 either, but we've set a standard that we have an age of consent of 18 years old, right? That's what we've made the standard of. Now, should we change that? Honestly, there's some solid arguments as to changing the age of consent to raise it. I think that might not be a bad idea. But at the very least, you can adhere to society's standards of what age of consent is, which is 18. I mean, we probably should raise the age of consent, you know. Maybe we should, like 25, maybe I say maybe 21 would be a good start. And then you'd need to create some, like, you know, obviously there needs to be like Romeo and Juliet type laws, but yeah.
What a wild thing to put on the internet. So now that I'm properly disgusted with this entire situation, and now you know who Glendon Cameron is, I want to know what you guys think about this. So leave your creative and interesting responses in the comment box below. Thumbs up, thumbs likes as always, brothers and sisters. I will see you in the next video. We're gonna need some positivity turtles in the chat. That's the
Yeah, man. I appreciate some people in the commentary community finally talking about it. So, you know, I appreciate it, Repzilla, because that's what really needs to happen. Let's see if we can actually get fucking Ethan to talk about it. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and another special shout out to all my Patreon and Twitch subs. If you'd like to support this channel further than you already have by just watching the video alone, go down in the links below where you can sub on my Patreon, which will allow you to get your name on this beautiful black wall. Or you can go to the Twitch page and you can actually use a free Amazon Prime sub, if you have Amazon Prime, to subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.